Hi, I'm Doug.
Hi, I'm Robin.
And we're going to be walking through the 2022 advertising campaign for Utility Safety Partners. And again this year, we featured a blend of both audio and written information that was primarily delivered digitally. Scientific studies continually show that when people receive information by audio, they're more likely to take immediate action. It's short-term memory. When people receive information that they've read or when it's blended in a video, they're more likely to file that to longer-term memory, but less likely to respond, at least immediately, to any call to action. So this year on the advertising campaign on the radio, we advertised on 43 radio stations and achieved over 8,000 minutes via those little 30-second ads. We picked the radio stations that we did because they were stars in their demographics. We were focusing on the 25 to 54-year-old demographic. That's a good one for Utility Safety Partners with homeowners or contractors, and that was a good demographic for us to focus on. We also advertised in one instance on Edmonton's World FM and managed to run advertisements in other languages again this year, including Punjabi, Hindi, Cantonese, Mandarin, and Ukrainian. We advertised in Calgary on a country radio station on a very special program that they run on the weekends, American Country Countdown, extremely popular. And we ran a special promotion on Harvard Media in both Red Deer and Calgary. So, Robin, overall, the radio advertising campaign had a pretty wide reach, not just in urban areas, but really spread out across a lot of the rural areas. It's hard, though, with radio advertising to show here's exactly how many people listened and here's exactly when they listened and what exactly they did after that. We have a bit more opportunity that way with the digital advertising campaign.
We do, yeah. We get similarly great reach for the digital ads. We were able to use Google, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and across those different ad channels, we're able to reach 100% of people that are online. So those were carefully selected channels. The way in which we did our targeting through these channels was actually in a couple of different ways. Firstly, we were able to target people based on their interests, what they may have been in market for. For example, we keyed in quite heavily this year on the gamer audience. So folks that were interested in gaming were likely to be gamers, maybe interested in high-end PCs, that kind of thing. We were also able to target people based on their Google search activity. So if they were searching for renovation ideas, building a deck, putting in an underground sprinkler system, something like that, we were able to put them into our target audience as well. So the way in which we reached folks on the different ad channels, it had more to do with the individual themselves and their interests, their online activities, as opposed to, say, the content that they're looking at. So they may have seen on Twitter an ad while they were looking at a particular discussion thread, but it was being targeted to them based on who they were rather than what they were looking at. In terms of the activity that we saw for our budget, it was really quite impressive. I'm going to note a few statistics here. So the ads were shown over 31 million times throughout Alberta. We generated over 145,000 clicks to the website. We had over 5.3 million seconds of view time on the website. So that's nearly 1,500 hours of time spent on the utility safety website. In Google, our cost per click were actually 91% below benchmarks. So that was very impressive performance on that campaign. On our video campaign, we were actually 50% below benchmark. So we were basically getting half price video views in Google Video, which was tremendous. On Facebook, we saw similar activity, so our costs were about 52% below benchmarks, which is great. And Twitter was another star performer. I think it was 93% below benchmark. So overall, from a cost standpoint, we saw tremendous savings, if you will, on the click activity and video views that we saw. Speaking of the video views, we actually generated just over 3 million video views, and that totaled up 71 million seconds of watch time. So if you do the quick math on that, it's just under 20,000 hours of watched video time for Albertans. We know on the social media channels, they give us metrics on reach. We know we reached over 750,000 unique Albertans, and that doesn't even include the Google campaigns, which reach many, many more. We actually saw in terms of urban and rural, we had about 55% of the activity across all these different ad channels were focused on the Calgary and Edmonton areas, which of course is to be expected, but that leaves 45% of the activity that was outside of those areas and in rural areas as well. So I think between urban and rural, we got really good spread, a really good mix of different audiences. Another interesting note on the digital ad campaign was that in terms of gender, the ad activity was actually quite evenly spread between men and women. So it's not as though, 90% of our ads were focused on men. It was actually it was about 54% were focused on men, with then 46% focused on women. So all in all, for the digital side of the ad campaign, we had really great exposure to Albertans in all different kinds of areas of different genders. We had a lot of website activity. We had a lot of video consumption. So we really got great awareness, and we achieved excellent value for the dollar spent in terms of the benchmarks, where we just blew them out of the water.
Robin, you mentioned the gaming right off the top. Help me understand, were the ads running while people were gaming online, or is it that they've expressed an interest in gaming through other online activity and now they're looking up a recipe on the website and that's how they saw the ad?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The latter is what's right. So the ad channels have a way of putting people into different buckets based on their activity. So they build their audiences. If you are, playing video games, you're browsing video game websites, watching video game reviews on YouTube, things like that, the different ad channels, they will gain an understanding of who you are and what your interests are, what your online behaviors are. And so that when you are out on the internet in the wild, doing the things you do, whether it's looking at recipes or whether it's also, looking at the latest game review, that's when the ad will show. So as I mentioned from the outset, the targeting is more based on who you are, less based on what you are looking at in that moment.
And just a reminder, the campaign actually runs until early October, both on the digital side and on the radio side of things. Thank you so much for watching this video with us today.